So as we meet different people, they're always saying they are waiting to retire or they want to retire, but they don't know how. They don't know how much they spend per month right now. They don't, they're just having a lot of struggles with their finances and things. And so today we're going to be talking about getting on a budget and getting prepared so that you can actually retire. Hey everyone, welcome to Tigner Adventures. So today we're going to be talking about our budget and why you need a budget, and how do I retire so that I can start having fun in my life. Now, if you don't want to retire, that's fine. I always tell people there's ways to do it if you want to, but then some people say they just love what they're doing and they want to stay with it. That's fine. We're not trying to change anyone's mind, and we're not trying to tell everyone to go full-time RVing, because if everyone does it, then it would be difficult for everyone. But we really enjoy this lifestyle, and one of the things we found out before we could even start this lifestyle, or actually we kind of started it and then fell into this whole idea, was that we really needed to learn to live on a budget, which was very difficult for me. That was not something that was in my vocabulary until I found this software that my son-in-law introduced us to called YNAB Budget. Now, their whole philosophy is that every dollar that comes in is assigned a specific task. And when people if they would have put that into that perspective when they were talking to me about budgets earlier on in my life, I could have understood that whole philosophy. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through YNAB Budget software. We're going to show you how it works, and we're going to show you what money that we have and how much we're living on and what we're doing with that, so that you kind of get an idea that you don't necessarily need a lot of money to retire. And by all means, we don't make the most money, but we make a lot more money than some people do. So I know that all of us out there are all in different areas, and we're just sharing this information with you. We live a public life, and so we're just sharing what we have here in hopes that this will help you out. You don't need to have $1 million to be able to retire and enjoy life. It's all based on what you want to do when you do retire. All right. Now, one of the things that I was told all the time when I was working was that you needed to contribute to a 401k so you had lots of money in your retirement, because when you retire, you would pay less taxes on that money. That just isn't true. I have to tell you, the only way that's not true is the whole idea is you're going to be taking out a lot less per month than what you're making when you were actually working. That's the premise. Well, that might be true in some ways, but in other ways, some of our first few years of retirement, we made more tax-wise than we did when we were working. And that was because we were pulling out lots of money out of our 401k, which was all taxable. So we would have been much better off paying tax on that when we first were working, because we had businesses, we had a lot of write-offs and things like that, and so our tax liability was very low. Well, it caught up to us because we had to start paying taxes on all that other stuff when we had no write-offs. We didn't have a family anymore. We didn't have houses and things like that. So things kind of changed a little bit for us, and it was really a struggle to start out. And so I'm going to show you what we do now. We both are on Social Security now. When I first released, if you look right here, this is the first video we did about our budget. And I was on Social Security and Ninette was not. And so our monthly income was, I think it was like $19.09 a month. That's how much we get from Social Security, and that's how much we choose to live on. So we don't live on anything else other than Social Security. Now, I need to kind of fix that a little bit, I guess, because we do some different work camp jobs and some little odd jobs here and there, and we do get some extra money here and there for different things that we may want to do. So we do pick up some odd things here and there. But our budget is based on our Social Security, and that's all we get, and that's that $19.09. Well, hey, things have changed a little bit. That was about 2 years ago that we did that video, and during that time they have now come out with a new cost of living increase on Social Security, so that amount has gone up. But I have also turned 65, and so Medicare now is mandatory, and so they automatically started taking that out of my check. And Ninette turned 62, so she started claiming Social Security. So if you look here, you can see that I now bring in $2,027 in Social Security, and Ninette brings in $974 in Social Security. Now, that seems like a lot, other than the fact that our medical, which used to be $0, is now costing us about $400 a month. And so we're going to be doing a video to kind of talk about medical on our next video in a lot more detail. But on this video, we're just going to be talking about how we have done this with our budget. We actually we lucked out because at the time we started getting billed our medical expenses, Ninette started collecting her Social Security checks, and so we got, that was covered by her Social Security checks. Now, it's taken up almost all her check to pay for the medical, unfortunately. But, medical just tends to be an issue that everyone really is always concerned about. And so that's just how it is. But we're lucky because we didn't have to absorb that $400 a month out of the current money that we were getting, which was the $1909. So anyway, so let's go back to You Need a Budget here, and you can see that I've just drummed this down. I've created this little budget that's called RV Starter, and this is we'll put a copy of all the categories here, but the best thing to do is, if you would like to use this software, you can go to our associate page. I'll just put it right here. It's Tigner Adventures /affiliates. And if you go to that page, there's an option there for You Need a Budget, and you can click on that. If you use that option, then you get an extra month free of YNAB. That's what they call it in short. You get an extra month free. We get a month free. That's what we get for referring you. But the advantage to that is that you also get an extra month free. And so, you can check it all out, and if you don't like it, you can say, you know what, I don't want to do this. But what I did when I actually started this is I downloaded the software. I then went onto some other people's sites that had a budget set up for RVing, because we were brand new to RVing, and I just went through their video really slowly, and I created all the same categories that they had within their system that basically pertain to us. And you'll see that when I go into this a little bit more, that there are some things that will pertain to you and some that won't. But this is our whole budget. We're not leaving anything out. We're not saying that, oh, this is, it's only costing us $1,000 a month, but that doesn't include all our insurances and all that. No, this is everything. This is everything we pay out is right here. So let's just look at it. So I'm showing that here's our income for, we get paid on the second Wednesday of every month. So February 8th we got paid. This is the amount that we actually got paid. So now if I go over here to the left, you can see that that totaled out to be $3,001 a month that we get now. And we currently have $8,600 in savings. Now, some people look at that and say, wow, you got a lot of money. Well, no, let's look at the budget, and you'll see how that is allocated out and why that money is in savings. So let's just click on budget, and as I look at my budget here, you'll see I have it laid out here in a lot of different categories. So at the top it shows I have $3,001 to assign, and then as I look down through here, I have living expenses, I have vehicle expenses, fixed expenses. So what a fixed expense to me is something that recurs every month no matter what. So here's our life insurance policies, our RV insurance, any subscriptions, things that we actually pay for, and also our medical insurance. So you see that we pay ourselves each month $25 each month each. That way we can use that money for anything we want without talking to the other person. So that works out nice that way. And then the yearly budget items are things that come due during the year sometime. All right, now let me just stop here for a second. I do have this miscellaneous one-time field here. I have $25 in there. We just keep $25 in there in case we find something that we want to buy, something to subscribe to, you know, like another RV app or something like that. Group rallies typically are about $300, so we leave $300 in there just in case we want to actually sign up for a rally somewhere. So we built that up, and that money's just sitting there now, so we don't do anything with it. But these other items are items that come due at different times of the year. And so here you'll see that this geocaching app comes due on February 3rd. It's going to be $31.94. YNAB is $110 per year. Campanium I paid $20 for, Passport America. We buy it in bulk, so we'd pay $179. So you can just see as I go down through here, I see all these different things. Now over here on the right hand side, that's kind of in orange, shows how much money has been put into those accounts so far to actually pay those expenses when they come due. So the cool thing about that is when these items come due, they you know, we just pay them. We don't have to think about it or worry about it because, oh, this is a $200 bill now we just got. No, we don't have to worry about that because we have the money budgeted and sitting here. And so if you look here, we have quite a bit of money in all these different accounts, and that's what adds up to this savings account area over here that says we have $8,600 in there. Because like if you look at our miscellaneous travel fund, we've got $3,300 in there. That's what adds up into that savings account. Now, I can take that savings account money that's sitting there and I can put it into a different savings account that earns lots of interest. And so that's the value of having a budget, is instead of you paying out all your extra money that you might have to other people and you know, like for credit card expenses, for interest on credit cards, you're now being paid by the bank for, you know, holding that money yourself and being prepared for those expenses that come through. So, all right, so back to the sheet here. You can see that I've got $2,000 in our emergency fund. That we like to keep about $2,000 in the emergency fund at all times. So if we can, just in case, all right. We do have a credit card, so there's $200 programmed to pay that because we pay that off every month. It's much better to use your credit card to buy things than it is to use a debit card. Our debit card has been hacked several times, and you know, credit cards get hacked also. The difference is when it's a debit card, it's your money, and the bank's not as anxious to get it back to you as they are when it's their money. So if something happens and someone takes a lot of money out on your credit card, they hurry up and fix that compared to the other way around, and so that's why we now use credit cards. So anyway, up here at the top of the screen, I have this $3,001 available that's we've now earned, and so I need to start assigning this. So if I click here on postage, you'll see over here on the right hand side it says assign $10 more to reach your target, and that's because I programmed that I want to have $10 a month in there so that I can for my postage. So now I have $20 available. So I'm just going to go down through this category. For groceries, we typically figure $100 a week, and there's 4 weeks between paychecks. Sometimes there's 5, but if there is, then I just increase this by an extra 100. But right now it's 400, so I'm just going to say $400. And you can see all I'm doing is going down through here, and based on what it tells me over here on the right side, that's how much money I'm putting into that particular category. And so as I do that, it's taking the money off of the ready to assign field to fill these actually in. So I'm just going down and filling these in right here. Now I'm to these fixed expenses. This area here are actually billed to us each month. Right now it's the 8th of February, so you can see that these become due the 1st of February, and we've already paid those out because we budgeted those last month. So what I do is I actually move up to March. So I'm just going to move over here. You can see where it says February 2023. I'm going to click on that, and it's now March 2023. And I'm going to fill these in so that starting March 1st, I have these items already budgeted. And so I'll fill these in down to the point where we're even with today. So this is what we're doing here. And all right, so you can see now that the last thing I did was Disney here. Our Sirius XM doesn't come due until the 13th, so I'm going to now switch back over to February, and now I've got to start programming in my budget here because I've already paid the Disney, but I don't have money in here to pay Sirius, so I've got to, this is where I've got to put it back in again. So I'm just going to continue on adding items in here. Okay, so you can see we've paid ourselves $25 each. We've assigned money up in that fixed category. Now we're coming down into this area that is yearly. So if I click on geocaching, for example, it says over here that I have to have $31.94 by January 15th. That way I can pay this by February 3rd. And to do that, to meet that goal, since I just barely paid it, I'm starting over, so I need to put $2.67 in here. And then that turns that little column green. And then YNAB is 110. I've got to do $9.17. See, it's much easier to come up with $9.17 per month than it is 110 all at once. So my Campanium is 167. And so now I'm just going down through this. So these are the little things that's getting applied, the little amount payment. So even though my money to assign is not as much anymore, the amounts that I'm putting out now are minimal also. So I've gone through all my major stuff, and now I'm just doing my small stuff. So just finish this up. Alright, so I've pretty much filled in everything right now. I've got $524.38 left, and that is basically because Ninette started getting her Social Security. So what we're doing with that money right now is we're putting that into our miscellaneous travel or emergency fund. You can distribute that money wherever you want. If you look up here a little bit further under vehicle maintenance, I actually had to pay a lot of money out for tires this last year, so I ended up using some money out of our miscellaneous travel fund to pay for tires, and so now I'm actually budgeting for tires. So if you have something that you know that's going to be an expense, then this is where you want to put it in. It's much easier to say, okay, I want to budget $1,200, or let's see, how much did I budget for tires here? $1,200 for tires, you know, to replace 2 tires this next year, and I do them a little bit at a time, so I don't do them all at once. But I can say, instead of coming up with $1,200 all at once, that I'm going to do this over a 12-month period, and then it's a lot easier to put in $10 a month than it is to put, $100 a month than it is to put in $1,200 all in at one point. So anyway, that's the value of a budget. And so if you look up through here now, we've got everything budgeted, and you know, you can come up with your own categories. You'll have to. I'm different. I'm not the same as everybody, and you're different. You're not the same as everybody, so everyone's got their own way of taking care of things. But if you look at this here, you can see that we've got everything signed out here, and this way, you know, we're covered in case there's any issues. And right now we've got this $3,000, for example, is in checking account, but you know, if we, you know, our actual monthly expenses is much less than that, and so then what we do is we slowly we transfer that money out of our checking account over to a high interest paying savings account. And so that way we're earning money on that savings account instead of the other way around. Anyway, that is our budget. If you look down through here, you can see that this is our budget categories, how we've got it laid out. You can stop the video at any point, create your own little categories, set it up however you want. This is the whole beauty of having this on a video, is that you can kind of figure it out yourself. And you know, the nice thing about having your doing it with your checking account and savings account and things like that is you start seeing where you're actually spending money. So this is the budget, right? And oh, let's see, we still have 524 here, so I'm going to go ahead and put that into my miscellaneous travel. So it had 25 in here. I'm just going to put a plus on here and say 524.38. Woohoo! Now we've got $3,900 in our miscellaneous travel, and all of our money has been assigned out. Remember, the whole idea of YNAB is every dollar you get, you assign it a task, and that's what we have done with this right here. So now let's take a look at our checking account. One of the things that, or accounts in general, all right? One of the things I've had some people ask me about is, how do you get the information in here? There's two different ways. You can manually enter it as you are making different things, like you have a cash account, you definitely have to just keep track of that manually. But in our case, if we have our checking account, our credit cards and things like that, we actually tell YNAB to link to our bank. Now, if you look here, they're using this place called Played, I guess that's how you say it, to link the different accounts. And so that particular service that they use, a lot of people use that service. And so it's important to understand that it's very secure because of that. So that's been one of the biggest concerns I've heard from people, is they're a little concerned about having somebody looking at that YNAB looking at their bank account or credit card statements and things like that all the time. Well, YNAB is not doing that. YNAB is just a subscription service based service that's sitting there, and you're putting the stuff in there, and then you are the one that ties it to your account. You put in your credentials, and the third-party service there is the one that all the different banks use to transfer the things back and forth. And so it's secure based on the fact that everyone else is doing it the same way, so it's not going to be any different. It's not like these guys are some little small shop and you're giving them money and then they're transferring around. That's not how it works. So the way it works is that you set up your accounts. Over here on the left, you set up all the different accounts just by clicking down here where it says add account, and then this is where you're going to say you want it linked or unlinked. And then unlinked is something like cash or maybe your 401k, things like that you've got set aside that you're not doing anything with, but you want to actually track how much is there and what's happening with it, and just have the overall values in there. You can put all that in there, and they're just unlinked. That means that you have to do everything with it. So if you take withdrawals from your 401k, or the market is making so much and you want to record how much you have in there, and you're going to adjust how much you're paying for fees and things like that, then you just do all of that manually. Okay, the linked one is where you'd click on it and you'd say, okay, here's my bank account, it's going to be checking, it's going to be savings, or it's going to be a credit card, and you're going to put in the credentials. You're logging into your bank account exactly like you do on the web when you log into your account to check your balances and things like that. So you log in, and that links the account, and then at that point, anytime there's any activity on your account, then it's automatically transferred into YNAB, and it will show up in YNAB. It's a good idea to also enter it in yourself as you're getting your receipts. You want to put it all in there, not just rely on the credit card or your checking account or whatever to populate it. It's best to fill it in all ahead of time, and then it will automatically match those entries up so that they're all linked together. And then that way you always have a good idea how much money you have, especially in your checking account, so that you don't overdraw your account. So but anyway, that's how that's done, and it's just linked together. It works really, really slick, keeping track of all that. They also have this app. So if you look here, you can see I've got the app on my phone right here, and I can, when I'm doing things out and about, I can just bring this up and I can actually enter items in right there on my phone. I don't have to wait till I get home to actually do it. So this works out really nice here too. Well, so that is a budget. That's budget 101 as far as from a guy that's never budgeted in his life and then started doing budgeting. This is me giving you advice, but all I'm trying to, just the way I do it is the way I do it. You have to figure out the way that you want to do it yourself. But the whole idea of retiring is that you have to learn how much money you're living on per month so that you can figure out how much money you really need to retire. And if you start just setting up a budget now, link your accounts so that all the money is running through this budget program and it's being assigned out to all the different categories, then you know how much money you're spending on eating out, for example, or how much money you're spending on groceries per month. Now, if I look back to my budget here, you can see that, for example, we have $400 here in groceries that we use. Now, if I want to eat out, I only have $50 in my eating out budget. If I don't have enough money for where I want to go eat, then that's all the money I got. And if I want to spend more than $50 to go out and eat, I got to come up with the money somewhere. All right. So what we typically do is if we do overspend our eating budget, we don't eat out a lot, but if we do, then we start pulling the money from our grocery budget. But that's a decision that you make ahead of time, because you bring it up on your phone and you say, whoa, this place is going to be expensive and we only got $50, so how are we going to cover that? Well, we got to cover it somehow. It just doesn't magically appear. It's got to be taken from someplace else. So, because that little amount that we got at the first, which was that $3,001, is all we have for the month. So we have to live within that. We're not like the government. We don't just go print some more money. So we have to figure out how to stay within that little retaining area that we've got. We're kind of fenced in. We can't go outside of that fence, and so we just use the items that are inside there. And so it doesn't have to be restrictive. The budget isn't there to make it hard on you. You want to just create the budget to help you control your life and make life a lot simpler for you as you're going along. So that's how it works. And then if you look down here, for example, RV fuel. If you've been following us long, you know that we're doing a work camp job right now here in Yuma, and we're here for 6 months. So we still program in this money, and we used to do $200 a month for gas. That's all we used last year. And then it just builds up through the whole winter. So we have $1,200 in our gas account before we even leave the resort. And so it just keeps building up and building up. We're now increasing that to $400, make life a little bit easier because we have a little bit more income now, and we can move just a little bit faster and be able to cover the expenses, because gas has gone up and everything's gone up. So that's just how it works. But anyway, this does make things a lot simpler in that sense. So anyway, hopefully this helps you out and gives you some ideas what's going on. I did want to get you updated on where we're at now, because things have changed and things are always going to be changing in your life. And so in our case, this happened to work out okay. Our amount coming in went up a little bit. That was great. That's not always the case for everybody. In our case, we had an extra $400 a month medical bill, and sometimes you aren't lucky to get that extra income. So you got to figure out, how do I absorb this within my budget? So this is what this is all about. So anyway, hopefully that helped you out. Thanks for watching. Please comment, make any comments below to help us out, to help anyone else out as far as getting started and everything. I do have to tell you this. I tell my friends this quite often. So there's nobody I've met that's retired that doesn't wish they would have retired 10 years sooner. Okay, just so you know, it is tough to get out of the box. And if you start getting yourself on a budget so you have a better idea what your finances are, it's a lot simpler to get out of the box. So anyway, with that said, thanks for watching. We'll hope to see you down the road somewhere, and if we don't, then we'll just plan on seeing you on our next video. So take care.